Alright, 1Del21 here. We changed the cooling fan on the bike. Now I just got to get the battery pulled out, which I should have did while I was doing it. But, you know, it is what it is. So, we are on our way to work, and there's a feature. I was asked if I would do that whole, every time I do a feature on the truck, basically go into detail about it, of what I've experienced with it and how I feel about it, because the heat is on. Essentially, the only thing you've really had of really any detail of any features on a vehicle would be like the old Top Gear, and really that was the closest you had as far as your YouTube channels that go into detail. But you don't really go into detail and how you feel, how they feel about it, because you don't really, they don't have the vehicles for say. They have it for a certain length of time. They have to crunch all that in. So I was asked, whenever I have a feature on the truck, or if I get asked about a feature on the truck, if I'll go over that and go into it in detail. So that's what I'm going to do starting today, since now I'm actually, instead of working on the truck, anything from this point on will be upgrades or actually living with the truck in general. Still, we're running good with everything. But the feature I want to talk about today is this bad boy right here. Your electronic gear shifter. Now, that feature, that you would think, okay, it's just a knob. It's more than that. Okay, this knob, this knob does multiple things, and I don't mean simple things. All right, you might think that, okay, it's just a knob, it just goes from park, reverse, neutral, and drive. Okay, it does more than that. Okay, you're on this truck, everything is copyrighted. Everything is commanded by the body control module. On top of that, everything talks to everything on the highest of levels. For instance, the transmission needs to talk to the computer, the PCM or the ECM, to be able to command the gear shifter or the dial. And the dial has to communicate with the transmission to be able to tell the computer what it needs, what it's doing, or what it can do. And then the computer, the ECM and the gear shifter tells what the transmission, what it can and can't do, and the computer, it basically is vice versa. And the reason I say it that way, all of them do that, but the way this gear shifter do it is really unique. Okay, the very first thing is that there are the sensors that are already on the truck, like your speed sensors, your gyros, and stuff like that, that is in the body control module. Essentially, what happens is if it detects that it's at speed and the engine is running and so on and so forth, it doesn't go to park. That's why you always have that do not shift from drive until you get to your destination. You would think that it's an electronic transmission. If it gets to a system set where it fails, it'll go to park. It doesn't do that. It stays in drive. Now, if for any reason you come to a stop and there's a serious fault in the system, it will shift to park on its own. It will do it. This gear shifter also will switch out in trouble codes and actually sit there and flash a different color. Yeah, I didn't know what the hell that was either. But it will flash a different color for an issue. And there's a feature on it that is pretty common sense. But it's not cut and dry unless you actually have done it once or twice. Which, if you have a knob shifter on your vehicle, you have done this at least once or twice. At least once, guaranteed. You've all done it at least once. If you have a dial, you've done it at least once, or you're going to do it once. There's no I'm not going to do it. You're going to. And that's if you come to a stop, you pull into your parking lot and you forget to put it in park. Okay? Turn the engine off. Because in this truck, how this is all situated, even though that's a bigger size button, if you reach over and turn the volume down as you pull up and you stop and you turn the volume all the way down, because you might have it a little bit louder than what you need in that environment. If you turn that volume down, you will psychologically think you put it in park. And I've done this many a times, but only once have I actually turned it down and then actually looked down and made sure that it was in park. And I think I just used my peripheral that time and just noticed that the lights didn't move. And when you put this car, when you turn the vehicle off, when you turn this truck off, and you still have it in a gear, it won't let you take the key out. So, on top of the electronic shifter communicating with the body control module, I was looking at that charger that was creeping out into the road. But if you look, it communicates with the body control module, communicates with the computer, the main computer, the ECM, the TCM, and it also communicates with your ignition module. Yes, it communicates with that as well. So if you leave it in park, it automatically keeps the key locked into place. Once you put it in park, it releases the key and you can take the key out. Now, I'll have to explain that as well, but essentially, unlike what you would think it would do, because it has those teeth on it, it does not lock the key in the off position. You know how the lock cylinder on most cars, if they break, the key even in the off position, you can't pull it out. The way this works on these here ignition modules like this is that if you can get it to the off position, it will slide out no matter what. As long as it gets to the off position, it will slide out. What it will not do is it will not let it go past off and leave it into the accessory position if the key's off. So if you turn the key off, it stays in the accessory position and it will not let you click over to take the key out. That's how that works. Well, if you turn the car off, a dash, I'll actually show you when I get it, when I park. When I park, I'll show you. I'll leave it in reverse because I'll probably be backing in. I'll leave it in reverse and I will turn off the car and leave it in gear. And I'll let you show you what the feature is. I don't know if you can turn this off. I don't think you can, because it would be a safety issue, unlike the hill assist and I turned that back on. The hill assist, I turned it back on because I assumed that the hill assist would be an issue with the transmission, but it wasn't. It's actually the valve body. It's a common issue with this transmission. The valve body is messed up in the truck. It's not from the water, because the transmission does shift normally at times. I mean, it messes up at times, but overall it does shift properly. Especially when it gets near temperature, sometimes it acts definitely well. But even if it's cold, it still acts up, trying to go from, let's say, first to second, but that's the only, it doesn't do it but once. So it's not really an issue, but it's something to keep note of. I'm trying to figure out where I want to park. I got people that are standing up like retards. Thing is I don't want to park somewhere that's on an edge, because, well, not on an edge. I don't want to park anywhere that's pretty much, I don't want to park anywhere that's like facing the road on the edge of an aisle, because to do so, means that I have to, okay, there's something flying outside my window. I don't want to park over there, but I guess I have to. Oh, God. I do not want to park on that edge. But we will park on the edge. As much as I don't want to, we're going to do it. And I'll show you guys what I mean by parking on the edge. Essentially, let me get all the way back here. Okay. Essentially, I'm well in my line, but the person over there is not. So that's another reason I hate parking in this parking lot. I'm just gonna move over a little bit because I have a keen idea of what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna be real freaking upset. Okay. Actually, it doesn't matter how freaking far away from it I get. They're gonna do it, and I'm gonna be real pissed. But all right, here we go. I'm in park. I'm gonna leave it in drive. I'm gonna shut the truck off. It auto shifted to park. Now I'm gonna take my foot off the brake, and we're in park. Now the key is still on. I did not touch the handle. It still says shift engage. So that's because we're basically in ignition. All right, now I can't turn the key off. You notice I can't turn the key off. I can't shift it, foot on the brake. I can't do anything. That's because in order to take the key out, I have to start the engine. Not necessarily. I still have to turn it to the run position, and then I can turn it off, and then the key comes out. So it's a pretty intricate ordeal if you forget to turn the key off. So you essentially on your own lock your key in your ignition if you turn the car off. You can get away with, oh Jesus, I forgot this isn't the leather one. You can essentially wiggle it, and it will, you know, if you've already shifted to park, and well, if it shifts automatically to park, and pretty much you wiggle the key, you could wiggle it to the run position without actually going to the run position. And basically what you're doing is you're getting the tension off that locking mechanism that's inside. So you're going to turn it slightly to run, and it's going to release, and you'll hear it click, and then you can turn the key off and pull it out. But essentially in that situation, I'd always just switch it to the run position, because since the truck automatically switched itself over, I don't want it to remember that it automatically switched itself over. So I switched it to the own run position and then back off, so it thinks that I put it in the park. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but I mean, you hear all the servos that are going. It's only one servo motor in there, and it makes all these servo noises when it shifts from that gear. So anyway, that is one of the features of this truck, of that parking module. And if there's any requests on what specific features this truck has, I'll go into detail with. But until then, I will go over an issue tomorrow, or I might go over an issue tonight in the vlog of an issue that I still have with this HVAC module, and pretty much on that. Or I may just, well, I don't really want to go over any features that are on the truck without actually giving the video of the features of the truck. But issues that I'm having with the truck, such as the HVAC module, which is the only thing I'm having, the issue I'm having, obviously in the transmission, I will explain those too. And I'll probably explain the transmission deal in a whole nother video, because it's a real intricate thing. So, but that's how it is. That's one of the features of this truck. Very complicated one. It's not confusing unless you don't really just look into it. You'll think that it's making noises that it shouldn't have, but it should, but it is. So I'm gonna get in here and go to work and try to relieve some stress off of my subordinate. Be guys.